Hey guys, this is Caleb with DSLR Video Shooter, and today we're taking a look at the Walimex Aptaris Universal Frame Cage. This cage comes in at around $500, which is a little more expensive than the predecessor or the little brother from Walimex, which is the Aptaris Universal XL cage. But the beauty of this one is you'll never have to buy a cage again. The other cage, you can make it work with a lot of cameras, but is mainly for DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, smaller form factor cameras. Whereas this guy, you can pack an FS7 into it, a Red Epic, all kinds of different cameras, and they've got some really interesting mounting features. So right away you can see I've got a GH4 in here with the lens, top handle, and then on the side here, this really slick piece of hardware that we're going to look at in a second, and it allows me to mount the RodeLink receiver on it. So great little camera package right here. A lot of us are rocking with this. This would be a fantastic run and gun setup for wireless audio, and you could be tearing around like this, get some low shots, all that good stuff. So what I want to do now is head over to the bench, get a really close look at this, and look at some accessories that Walimex has come out with for this cage, as well as the Universal XL cage. So here we have the Walimex Pro Aptaris Universal Frame Cage. And you don't see the frame part because I actually took it off, and that just goes to demonstrate one of the reasons I love this cage is how versatile it is. So right here I have a GH4 in there with a Metabones adapter, and you don't have to have both of these sides attached to the cage. I personally have never been a massive fan of having the full cage. Now that said, if I was going to be shooting a video with an FS7 and a Odyssey, recorder on here, you would probably want to add this because it adds a ton of strength. But without it, this thing is crazy, crazy solid. And if you have a camera with a grip you really like, this is a great way to use it. You can have this handle over here, and that's a major plus to me compared to the old cage, which I have right here, is that the actual side is a little farther away from the camera. So you get a really nice solid grip on the side of the cage when you're shooting. While I have the other cage here, let's go ahead and just take a quick look. This is the Aptaris Universal XL cage. Works really well for DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. Doesn't work as well for larger cameras. And you can see the top plate. It's pretty small. It's really light, which is great, and I really do love this cage. It's one of my favorites. But with the Universal frame cage, you can see how much space there is up here to add stuff. Let me go ahead and take the handle off. And there's just tons and tons of mounting points. And the beauty of this is it's advertised to work with a lot more cameras. So you can put everything in here from a pocket cinema camera because it shrinks down. You can see over here, I've got the other side, and that's tiny. Look how small that is. So this is perfect for a pocket cinema camera. Or you can do something like this, kind of a mid-size, or you can go up to an FS7. It's incredible. If you do want to go really tall, there's an attachment you can buy that extends this area here. So let me grab the actual accessory. Here it is here. So essentially you'd be replacing these two arms, which look like this. You can see how short that is, to something like this, which is a lot more substantial. And that will give you, this crazy range here, which is ridiculous. So not always necessary, but if you want to shoot with, a C100 or a really, really tall camera, that's going to be a great option for you. But again, here is the range of the cage as a stock set. You can see it's a little larger than what I've got going on. And this is a GH4 with a kind of a plate underneath it. So it's a little taller than your standard GH4. And then you can pack down almost nothing. There's another feature I really like, and you can get this as an accessory. You can get a couple of them, and it's what looks like a very simple piece of hardware, but it can really change this cage. So if we look at the top of the cage, you'll notice these two little cutouts. Let me try to get a good angle. There we go. You can see they've milled out, or whatever you'd call that, routed out these little shelves here. And this little piece can attach to that beautifully. And you can see you can do a whole bunch of different combinations. You can go off to the side. You can also take this short bit and use that there as well. So you can get, a nice extra bar here. You can face it backward. endless combinations. So you could use this for cable management, which we'll talk about in a second. Could put batteries on here, audio interfaces, really anything, and you can do two. So it gets pretty ridiculous, and you can really come up with an amazing system for your your camera package. And another thing I want to mention is how well it just sits. It seems like a dumb thing, but they did a good job. Everything's flat. So if you don't have a lens on here, you can set it at all these different angles and it's setting on the table. So right now the camera isn't touching the table. It's resting on the actual plate. So I really do love that. Whereas this guy, unless you set it down on its bottom or its top, you're going to run into some issues there. Now, like I said, this isn't how it ships. It ships with this other piece attached to it. And there's something I want to bring up that I think is awesome. Walimex didn't just bolt this onto the face. If you see here, if I can get the lighting right, you can see there's actually a little track in here. So when this thing rests on here, and I'm just, holding it down, it won't go up and down, it slides. So it's super solid. Once you have the screws, it's crazy solid. So I'd put anything in this. It's incredible. You can put monitors in it. It's really fantastic. Now I want to talk about the bottom plate. So a problem that a lot of you guys know of on the old setup, which we will address here in a second, is that it has this kind of style base. What's cool is it works with Manfrotto plates. What's not cool is if you want to put your own plate on here, there's no way to attach it. And if you take off this little piece of metal here, there's some holes, but they're really weirdly offset and you can't get a straight centered cage, which is really unfortunate. That was addressed with this cage. First of all, it sits flat, perfectly flat, which is nice. And then there are holes here for you to add whatever you want. The sad thing is there's only 1/4 20 in the center. And that's where this new little accessory that they came out with comes into play. So you can pick this up for 30 bucks. I love this because on the old setup, this will allow you to convert this crazy funky deal to a flat centered place to mount any plate you want. You can offset it if you want. It's fantastic. That same clamping system, you can see there's a little clamp here, works on this cage. So it's on the back and you can attach it just like that. Now you can finally adjust it if you need to. Really love that. I'm very glad that they did that. It's a fantastic setup. So let's go ahead and talk about some accessories and some of the things that Walimex has changed in their gear. So the first thing is the top handle. So here's the handle. I'm going to grab one of the old handles. You can see here that they've beefed up the handles pretty significantly. So they're a lot more meaty, nicer to grab and hold on to. Same style attaching point. So there's these little rails here. I don't think they're like NATO standard, but they work great. Easily, you can switch the handle around, which is fantastic. If I can get it on there, there we go. And you can buy extra little rails so you could have handles all over this thing if that's what you wanted to do. Another accessory is the updated cable lock system. So here's the old one, and the idea is you would mount it onto your cage like that. Your cable would come out and then get pinched by this little grabber here. The things that weren't great about it is it was not toolless, so you had to have your Allen keys and make changes with these two screws. And it was just metal on metal, and you can see it's kind of bowing there when it's tightened down. On the new one, it is toolless. So you have these nice knobs which work really well, and then there's kind of a rubber gasket in here, and you have more range, so you have a lot more options. So great little piece if you want to add to this cage. So final thoughts wise, if you need a cage, that's the main question you should be asking yourself. Once you get past that, I would look at this cage before I look at other cages. First, because I love knowing that this cage is going to work with any other cameras I use or rent. Secondly, it is really affordable when you look at the grand scheme. If you look at a lot of other brands, you're going to be needing to spend a lot more than $500 for something like this. I also like how customizable it is. It's very transformable and just really high quality parts. And the other thing I love is that these parts, most of them you're gonna be able to use with other equipment. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. As always, you can watch new videos here at DSLR Video Shooter every single Tuesday and Thursday. Check the description for links to all the parts I mentioned as well as the cage, and I will see you guys in the next video.